Schedule a Zoom with me at GCExperts.com/Zoom.
I've been listening to your videos since I came across. I feel like I joined and then I didn't look at anything for a week or two. And then it came up as I was trying to think about what I needed to focus on for the next few months. And then I've just been looking at all your stuff for the last couple of days. So I am a GC in Washington, D.C. We typically do renovations, new builds, commercial. We do interiors. But we manage projects for developers as either construction manager or the GC. We typically stay under 25 units or below, and I run that process typically for them. It depends on what the developer needs. Either they need me to do everything or they don't need me to do nothing but manage the projects on site. So that varies. But with development work, there's so many layers it takes so many times because our development work is affordable housing. And so it typically takes time, and we're sort of a lapse in funding that we typically encounter with these projects. And so in order for our company to continue to grow, I need more consistent projects that will help fund when we're not on a development project. So, and I'm working full time, and I want to come out of my full-time job and focus mainly in the construction business. I started the business in 2022, so I'm ready to make that transition out of government work into full-time business runners. And my goal this year would be to at least get a $700,000. If I can get a $700,000 contract, I can leave my job. And so that's my top priority, my focus that I'm focused on.
Okay, you're certainly qualified for my stuff. You know what? If you watch my videos, you know that I teach people exactly like you how to be successful in the federal market. So, right. What do you have questions? What do you want to know?
So, I wanted to know, I guess, for someone like me, is this something that I'm invested in terms of, you spoke about, I guess, the time and getting things done quickly. I'm trying to understand how it would fit into. Could it be something I put someone else on? Does it need to be something that I need to do?
Initially, I want the person that I'm talking to, the investor, the person involved, because, look, sometimes some people think that they're just going to invest in my program and then have 3 of their minions watch it and implement it, okay? That never works out, okay? For one, that's not what this is about. I teach people in the construction industry how to be successful in the federal market. I don't take phone calls from 15 of your guys every time they've got a question or a problem on a federal contract. I'm going to teach you. Now, if you later want to implement with other people your strategies that you develop from what I've taught you, of course, that's awesome. That's exactly what this is designed to do. But initially, I want you involved. I want you to learn this. Because for heaven's sake, what happens if I get hit by a bus next week? I want you to know how to do this.
Okay. And so my initial time involvement is doing the workshop. And then for the workshop, will I only have access to be able to join the program?
That's right. Join the membership program. And that's where the hand-holding comes in. And I'm sure, I post probably 10 to 20% of the phone calls that I get from my members. The other phone calls that I don't post are obviously stuff that is, utilizing some of the tools, templates, and technology that I developed in the workshop. And, it's not for the public. But the reason I post the calls that I do is so that everybody gets a sense of what kind of hand-holding is exactly involved here. And so if you watch enough of my videos, you get a couple of ideas. One is, I'm approachable, I'm reasonable, I'm extremely helpful in every way that I can be. And then 2 is that this is how I treat my own clients. Like, you'll never hear me coddle them like, it's okay, you'll get the next, I'm always going, hey, you got to do this, then you got to do this, and if you do all 3 of these things, that's what's going to lead to success. Or, solving problems, that kind of stuff. I want to make sure that people understand that personalities are different, and so, you know, I might not be the right person for you, but you can get a sense of who I am and then make your own business decision as to what makes the most sense for you. That's really what's most important.
Right. I really, you know, one of the things that has been frustrating about, like, I'm all about simple systems, and I'm registered, and I did a whole, like, oh, I'm going to be committed and submit bids to SAM, and it always falls off because there's so much to just do and gather. Like, I can do it for 3 months, and then we're pulled into a project, and then I'm off. I'm not bidding anymore. I even created, like, got a workflow system created where I track all of our bids at the beginning of the year, and I haven't barely used it because I don't have a lot of time, but I can make time if I know this is what I need to be committed to.
And that's a really smart thing to say, because I talk about this a lot with people who are considering federal contracts or people who are in federal contracts, that we as contractors, we're willing to put in the work, but we have an expectation of a return for that work that we put in. And what you're telling me is that, hey, I put in all this work, I didn't get a return on it, so I went, screw that shit, and moved on to something that does give me a return for my time. But that also applies to education. When you put 3 days of effort into learning what we teach in the workshop, you have the right to expect a return for that investment in time, money, and that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, you're going to have to go out and you're going to have to apply that stuff, but you're going to expect a return for the application of that knowledge. Yeah, I'm right there with you. That, you know, look, I've offered that 100% money back guarantee for 15 years now, and nobody's ever called me and asked for it, because I'm the guy that's making sure you get a return for that investment.
So the work, I know you keep your information on your workshop limited, as you should. So the workshop is a prep to get us to understand what we need to do if we actually decide to invest in the membership program. Or the workshop is for us to do, and then we can take off, even without the membership program.
I'll do you one better. The GCExperts workshop didn't exist when I came into federal contracting. You can go beat your head against the wall for 30 years like I did. Okay? That's perfectly free. Okay? What the workshop is designed to do is accelerate you into the federal market in a way that nobody else can, because you're being taught by two guys who did 1,000 federal contracts, $1 billion worth of work with the federal government. Show you what you should be looking for, what you should be looking to avoid. What look, it's 28 hours of training. It's not 3 hours. It's not like just come in here, get a quick buzz, and get the fuck out and you're on your own. That's not what GCExperts was designed around. We're designed around educating you, giving you, all the information you need to find, bid, negotiate, and perform federal contracts anywhere, as long as it's federally funded. Okay? And then the membership program is designed to support you in that endeavor.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
And then, I didn't have a lot of questions.
Well, that's okay. We got as much time as you want. If you want to just chit-chat about barbecue, we can chit-chat about barbecue.
I didn't have a lot of questions. I just needed to know what it needed to look like for me. So, okay. So then, is there a way people have engaged in which you saw the most success? Like, do they do the course and is there a model in which you say, if most of my students do this, then they'll likely see?
I can do you one better. I can clarify the picture for you. So,
Okay.
Tell me something. It doesn't matter what, even if it's a hobby. Something that you're a subject matter expert on, that if you walked into a room of 30 people and you were going to teach something for 2 hours, what would you teach? You.
For 2 hours, let's just say, Emotional regulation.
Say that one more time.
Emotional regulation.
Okay, I've never even heard that phrase before. Emotional regulation. But that's okay. I want you to.
Golf.
What's that?
Or we can say golf.
Okay. No, emotional regulation. Hey,
Okay.
you're the one that's the subject matter expert. Now, let me ask you this. Can you imagine that of the 30 people, there might be 5 people in the front row that everything you said about that, they're going, yep, I knew that. Oh, duh, of course. Yeah, we do that all the time. Can you imagine there'd be 5 know-it-alls?
Absolutely.
Okay. Can you imagine that there would be 5 people in the back of the room? They're going, what the shit is she talking about? Emotional. This doesn't make any sense. How could I ever? Can you imagine there'd be 5 people in the back of the room that just wouldn't get it?
Yeah.
But can you imagine that the bulk of the people, maybe me included, would be sitting there going, wow, I never thought about that before. Geez, I could implement that. Wow, that's really smart. Can you imagine there'd be the bulk of the people that were there to really learn that?
Yes.
Okay? GCExperts is the same way. I've got 5 people that have gone through my course and won the first job they ever bid. Most of my clients go through the system, start bidding jobs, and get their first federal contract in 90 days. But on the other side, I've got 5 or 6 people that call me up after 6 months saying, hey, I haven't won a job yet. Now, to me, those are the most interesting. They're probably the ones that you want to hear about because people in the construction business always want to talk about the monsters under the bed. Okay? Because they want to avoid that. When somebody calls me up and says, hey, I haven't won a job yet, my first question back is always 100%, how many jobs have you bid? That's right. And the answer always comes back, well, I've bid 3, or I bid 4, or I bid 5. It's always some small number. And that just tells me, as an educator, that this person needs more education, because you, who are fresh off the Michael video, should be able to tell me what is your risk for turning in a bid.
0.
How is it that somebody can invest all that money with me, spend all that time going through this shit? Look, I don't understand it. That somebody can call me up after 6 months and say, I've only bid 3 jobs. It makes no sense to me because their risk is 0. So to me, it just tells me this person needs a little more hand-holding, a little more explanation of how it's 0 risk. Maybe send them another video. This is how you turn out a bid. I mean, Lamart was a perfect example. Lamart called me up after 6 months, said, I haven't won a job yet. I said, how many have you bid? He said, I bid 4. I said, listen, what is the problem? Like, is it the paperwork? He goes, Sean, I don't know what this construction is. And I said, great, here's what your homework is. I want you to pick 4 jobs a week where you have no idea what it is, and I want you to just throw a number on it. I don't care if it's 100,000, I don't care if it's 500,000. Throw a number on it and turn it in. Just keep doing that. 3 weeks later, calls me up. Hey, I got my first job. Great. 3 weeks later, hey, I got my second job. And the last time I talked to him, I think he said he got 17 federal contracts. Okay? Now, eventually I started narrowing his numbers in and explaining to him that you can't just be picking numbers out of the sky. But the whole purpose of that was to get him in the process, the groove of turning in bids. Because, for heaven's sake, if you don't turn bids in, you're never going to get a federal contract.
Exactly.
Okay? So that's what that thought process was for. And so what your odds of success are directly related to the effort that you put in, just like in your world right now. If you sit on your laurels and do nothing, what happens? Nothing.
Yeah.
But you have a reasonable right to expect that you would have a return on your investment of time and money.
Yeah.
But you have to do the work.
I'm ready. What question was coming up? I can't think of it right now.
That's
All right,
okay.
So then is there, I didn't see a link. Are you sending me a link for that? What's the
Yeah,
investment in the
because
workshop? Okay.
everybody gets to make their own determination as to what kind of person I am prior to this Zoom. You get to watch videos of me interacting with people and you get to design. I mean, some people might just look at me and go, that guy's a fucking moron, and move on. And that's fine by me. But this Zoom that you and I are having right now is my choice, my chance to figure out who you are. Are you the kind of person that's going to be successful if you implement my strategies? Okay, so I have a big yes no button and I get to choose. Now, I picked the yes button for you, so you're going to get a text in about the next 10 minutes or so that says, pleasure talking to you. Here's the link if you want to invest. And then it's entirely up to you what you do after that. You're never going to get pressure from anybody, from me or my team, saying, hey, you talk to Sean, now give us all your money. There's nothing like that. There's no 7 keys strategies to the success in the federal money. If you buy now, there's none of that shit. It's just a conversation between two people in the construction industry. I always consider my job to be open people's eyes as to what this is and to what it isn't, and then let them make good business decisions for them.
Right. So one of the things that I've picked up on is that there's a possibility that I could bid jobs outside of my area. And I think I've been skeptical about that. Like, I'm like, well, we don't have people there, and that's going to take a lot of work. So is that something that am I right to believe that some of what you're teaching shows that process?
Not only is it some, it's way more than some. It's like 95% closing in on 100%.
Okay.
Look, I've lived in Austin, Texas my whole life. I've only ever done one federal contract in Austin, Texas. And it was about 25 years ago at the IRS building here in Austin. That's a federal building, the IRS. And they needed a new cooling tower, and I bid and got the job to replace the cooling tower. I hired a local mechanical company to go out. And since it was local and I wanted to go see it, and because I happened to have a skill set of doing controls and electrical work, I went out there. I had an electrician do the major electrical work, but I did the controls and the final testing and implementation of the cooling tower, just for fun.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm all set. I'm ready. I am locked in from next for some time. I have to make a move, and so this is the best thing for me to really get out of that position so I can really focus and build this the way I want to.
Well, I'm here to help you with that. I'm here when you need me.
Thank you. You said your answer as long as you're awake.
That's right. I 2 rules. If I'm awake and I can hear it ring, because there's sometimes that I'm awake and I can't hear it ring. But if I'm awake and I can hear it ring, I answer it. But nobody ever has to leave me a voicemail. If I have a missed call, I call back.
Okay, and it's one of those like, hey Sean, I don't think we quite get this, or we're wanting to submit on this, and we can just ask you a question about what I'm submitting on, and just if I feel stuck or something, because we have pretty much. I'm registered. I've done this. I'm familiar. I've wrote RPs. Like, I have all that experience. And just sometimes probably more in my head than anything.
I will answer the phone the 50th time of the day, the same as I answer the first.
Okay.
Hey, how's it going? How can I help you? Nobody is ever bothering me.
Okay.
I have walked out of movies to answer calls from my clients. I got a phone call one night about 7 or 8 years ago, maybe 10 years ago now. But it was New Year's Eve at 11:45. A guy called me thinking he was going to leave me a voicemail. And I answered it. And I went out into my truck. We were at a karaoke bar. It was freezing that night. I had a Ford Excursion at the time, turned it on, got the heater going, sat there, talked to that dude for 45 minutes. He had an interesting question, and I had a lot to say about it. I came back in there at 12:30, and my wife was pissed. You missed it. And I said, look, the guy had an interesting question.
I had to answer. Question for you. How is it working with your family?
I was awake, and I could hear it ring. Look, in my life, there's 3 important things. Number 1 is my health. Number 2 is my family. And number 3 is my business. because that supports the other two. I've already done all the business I'll ever need to do for the rest of my life with the federal government. This is my fun stuff, okay? When you watch my videos, does it seem like I'm working?
No.
In this conversation, do you feel rushed, like I've got somewhere better to be? I don't know if you'll ever give me $1 or not, and it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
Okay? I enjoy having these conversations. Because where else can I can't go to my next door neighbor and talk about federal government construction. What the hell? Okay?
That is true. I love that when you ran off your team and then you kind of gave a glimpse of who's on your team. And I've been trying to get my nephews to get prepped to be in the business, and at this point I'm like, well, y'all either will be or you won't be. Like, I'm tired of trying to help you. I'm telling you where I'm going and where this ship is going, so you can either jump on board or you don't have to. So thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome. I don't remember specifically what you're referring to, but I'm glad it was helpful.
You talked about your wife, what she did in the business, and then your dad, and then you just talked about the 6-member team you built.
Oh, the 6-member team. Yeah, I dive into that way deep on the second day of the workshop. But if I posted a video that I briefly talked about the 6 people and what their roles were and what they did, I'm sure somebody must have asked me a question about that.
Yeah, I like that, because I've always said I'm not a 7-man team, 7 or less, and we're $10 million. Like, if that's my goal. People are like, oh, you should do $100 million company. And I'm like, I don't want to manage.
No, you
20,
probably
30,
don't. But
people.
I'll just tell you this: with the 6-people team that we had, we could what's the word I'm looking for? But we could do 20 to 40. We could scale it between 20 and 40 million a year was typically what we did with that team.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for your time. I really appreciate this. I'm excited about what's next.
Great.
And I'm ready to lock in.
I'm here for you when you need me.
Thank you, Sean.
Have a great day.
All right, you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.